Yo, we are back. We are live. It is Iron Bowl Saturday morning. Doesn't feel like it. Still is. Hopefully, y'all had a happy Thanksgiving and all that lovely stuff. But the business for today is those guys. And hopefully, our team is ready to handle business with those guys. Click like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Make sure you're hitting the bell to get the notifications for when we go live so that you can be ready to come in here and talk great Auburn football. We are definitely going to be doing stuff on Twitter today. Might just throw some tweets out there just to antagonize some people. I don't know. I hadn't figured out what I'm going to do yet. But it doesn't matter. Twitter and Instagram, you can find us, The War Rapport. TW Rapport is what we are on TikTok. Fellas, Iron Bowl Day, it's time. Doesn't really matter what happened prior to today. I hate that team on the other side of the state officially for today. Oh, sorry. In case you forgot, while I can still do it.
While we can
There it
still
is.
do it, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so it's time to quit with all the trash talking. Well, it's not quite time to quit with all the trash. I still got maybe like 3 or 4 hours left of trash talk left.
Hey,
All
what
right.
was the score again? I
Oh,
didn't see it the first
just
time.
just in case anybody
Okay,
forgot, the score from
gotcha.
last year's game. We're going down to Bryant Denny Stadium to do our best to handle business. But we have some questions going on with our team. I'm gonna let C talk about that a little bit. What have we heard most recently about what's happening with the squad?
For I believe it was three key guys got injured in the Tennessee game last week. Of course, Tank being one. You had Broderius Ham, and then you had Alex Jackson across the offensive line. Of course, Seth Williams had like a stinger, but he was on the sideline moments later, looking fine. He's good to go. What they're going to be looking for in pregame warmups is how good Tank looked. He was very limited. Didn't go through a lot of practice this week. They're hopefully being able to use him. Depending on how he looked in pregame warmups, he may be the most likely of the three guys to actually play today.
Yeah.
Broderius Ham, I don't think he's playing at all. Alec Jackson may suit up if something happens to Troxel, or I believe Coffee is the other kid who's going to be starting at tackle. Um, if we absolutely need Alec Jackson, he could play, but I wouldn't look for him either. The only one of those three that we can hope for is Tank at this point.
Mm.
So that's all I
It's not
got.
the greatest news in the world. I mean, not having Tank. If I could have picked anybody, I think I would have picked the offensive line players though, just because um, quality offensive line play can at least you won't get the dynamic nature of Tank Bigsby, but you will at least get consistency across what you're having to block up front. But we'll see,
Right.
because we're gonna need everybody to be blocked up in order for plays. Even with a great back in the backfield, if the play doesn't get started, it doesn't matter, right? Like so,
Right.
you got to have
Yeah, I
offensive
think I
line
think the
play to make
I
it
think
happen.
the offensive play calling is going to have to be a lot more creative today, um, in general, like just to even have a chance. So for the first time in War Report history, all four of us picked against Auburn in this one, right?
Yeah,
There is there's this idea, right, that we are throw out the records, like just throw out the records, and I just don't think that applies this year. So when in terms of the injuries, it really just kind of compounds the conundrum that Auburn has today with this team that we're playing, right? A quarterback that really hasn't had a bad game all season. When you look around college football, Justin Fields had a really bad game. I think it was last week. You're seeing people at other top 10 schools. I should say other. I should just say at top 10 schools because we're not even other at this point. But like the having one offs, right, and that's not happening. It's not happening in Alabama, right? Like so, they've been pretty consistent offensively, which is a scary proposition for us. I can't stress enough. If they hit their averages today, this game is over by halftime. They hit their averages. We're not in this one. So I am going to really be leaning on Steele to come up with some uh, some defensive coverages that at least help us contain them. But they're a two-pronged attack, so it's not just all-world wide receivers that they have. It's their run game as well too. That we have to find a way to kind of bottle up. So, two of the defenses the injuries that you mentioned are on defense, were they not?
No, both those
O
offensive
line.
line.
Yeah. Okay.
O-line.
Okay. So we're healthy defensively. And then,
I haven't even heard about Newkirk because
Yeah.
he went out in the Tennessee game either. I haven't heard any mention of him. I'm thinking he's going to play, but we'll see.
Yeah, we need everybody. We need all hands on deck defensively in this one, right? Offensively, I'm not expecting a ton, right? Because I really believe that Bo's going to have his best game. He doesn't think so. He thinks the defense will keep him in it and he can do his normal bull and we can win, right? I don't think that's going to be the case today. I think he's going to play an outstanding game today. What I'll be looking for him from him is just some accuracy, right, and good decision making. That's just that's what we need from him. We need good decision making, and we need him to be fairly accurate, right? No turnovers, right? No boneheaded turnovers. I can deal with turnovers as long as they're not in the process of him doing something completely mind-numbing, right? Because they're a good team, and so I hope that we have no turnovers. I just hope that the turnovers aren't unforced errors on our part. So, I'm disappointed about potentially not having all hands on deck. It seems to be a theme around college football this year, with people catching COVID, and it just seems like every team is undermanned at some point, right? And the only time we would have been undermanned, we had the game canceled. So,
Okay.
this is kind of the first time that we're dealing with it this season.
Undermanned because of COVID. We've been undermanned because of injuries, but not because of COVID.
Right. So, I'm cautiously. I woke up this morning a little cautiously optimistic. Mate, could we do this? Could we pull off an all-time upset? Because this would be one. And in a season, again, when you look at what's going on around, could we pull off an all-time one?
I'm just looking at
in a season where, oh man, listen, I don't even.
I'm happy for you, Mike. I'm happy for you that you feel that way.
I'm
happy for you that you woke up feeling good because
before the game
I woke up and rolled back over in agony.
Until I see them come out there and do something crazy, I'm gonna be like, man, they're gonna play above their pads today, man. We're gonna be out there and we're gonna kill it. And then if they do something crazy, then I'm like, you just killed it for me.
Yeah. They can't get behind in this one, right? I think we all agree they can't get behind in this one. We're not offensively built to come from behind.
Right.
So
So that's what worries me the most right there. If we can control the other team's offense with a sound defense.
Well, we're kind of going around it, but let's talk about what the keys to the game. How do we get a victory today? And I'll let you continue on your thought there. Be real with that.
All right. So I was thinking about how does this game, number one, how does it likely play out, and number two, how is it? What way does it play out that benefits us the most? I think it's most likely that Alabama puts up 24 points in the first half, and based on who's missing, 2 tackles, Tank being dinged up, maybe he's not 100%. Do I believe that we can keep up with Alabama putting up 24 points in the first half? No. We put up, 13? How much did we score against Tennessee in the first half?
10. 10. I think we went to the half tied at 10.
Oh, okay. 10 points. Let's assume.
In fairness,
okay,
a lot happened in that half, right? We don't know if Tank, other people didn't get hurt. We don't know what it threw the game plan off.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So just a little asterisk there, as before you go with your point.
Yeah.
Okay. So, with that being the case, does anybody believe we can match Alabama point for point for 24 points in one half?
Do I believe that it
Bo
is
Nix
possible? I actually beve it's possible.
Right.
Wait, no,
It's
because
within the realm of possibility.
possible. possibility? No, see, we all in the metaphysical now.
You ask a question, I'm answering
Do
your
we
question.
believe that it is likely
Okay, see,
that
that's a different question.
that the
Different
Auburn
question.
No,
team
It's
that
no,
a
it's
we've
not.
different question.
seen this
Based
year?
It's
upon
not.
our offensive output thus far this year, no, it's not likely.
Okay, and so because of that, that's why I think we're going to get run off the field because we can't come from behind. To Mike's point, the only reason we've been in games and been able to win a lot of the games we've won is because the defense has done a good enough job of holding some semi-potent offenses under control. Ole Miss was a close game because they could have gone crazy, but Kevin Steele and company devised a game plan, keep their number one weapon in check. That gave us enough time to do just enough for Bo not to completely blow it, which he always is going to make a couple bonehead plays. But lately, and to give him credit, which I don't mind giving him, I know Mike might, but he has played better each game since South Carolina. His best one being against LSU because they're a terrible team, so it makes sense that he would look best there. But he's still making short throws. He's not completely missing people or setting his wide receivers up to be killed. On long passes, now he is hitting receivers in stride more often than he was before. He is making better decisions.
Which was like never. So like,
I said improvement. Is that not an improvement still?
well, yeah. I just want to point out to the fans how low the bar was, though. The bar was
Doesn't matter how
down
low the bar
here.
was. He clearing that thing now. Let's go, Bo. Let's.
So, and on top of that, he is that whole bail to the right, cut off the field, and try to make something out of nothing when nothing's there. I haven't seen that little stupid flick the ball at the ground thing nearly as much over these last 4 games as much as I saw it in the first 4 games. So I've seen improvement. What this game would take is to take all that improvement and then like double it. Like now you're going to have to no plays where you made the wrong play. No plays where you missed the wide open under and went for Seth down the field because that's your guy. No plays where you bailed and just flicked it. Instead, you just threw it out of bounds and took the sack. It's like he's going to have a completely top to bottom, best he can play game. Because we've seen the arm, he has the arm talent. The arm talent is not the problem.
This is a point we brought up in our preview thing, and I just want to put it on the screen real quick about how we've looked better against poor competition. We talked about this as well. Bama really hasn't played anybody worth anything of late. So though they've looked better defensively, they've also been playing trash teams, right? So it's not we're coming into this in very similar scenarios. The difference for me is, and I appreciate the comment, Cameron, is that we looked bad before. Bama looked okay. I mean, they weren't like they were looking very uncharacteristically undisciplined before. Their defense was definitely not tackling well. That's why I think a healthy Tank Bigsby gives us a very good chance in this game because they weren't tackling well prior to. And if you have a team that's struggling to tackle against a guy that's really hard to tackle, he could have run for like 300 yards today. Like, let's just be real. Against the way they had been tackling earlier in this season, Tank Bigsby would have run wild on this defense. He's not playing today. Or if he is playing, he's going to be limited today. So you're going to have other guys do what he was doing, which who's going to do what Tank does, right? Definitely not overlooking the fact that we could pose different threats to this team than they've seen over the last couple of weeks, but also not overlooking the fact that we didn't look great prior to that, right? So it's not as if, we've made some miraculous change. But our point is that we don't really know what we're going to see from our team against a quality team.
Someone on here mentioned that the thing with our team is that we look different in every game. Whether it's we've had a guy injured or we're figuring things out. We still don't know if it was fool's goal against LSU and Ole Miss, how we were able to just be efficient offensively, right? Like we have yet to see us do that against a really strong defensive team or a team that's better defensively against who we played, right? And now the guys who make that offense go may be out. So we just don't know from week to week what this offense is going to do. And that gives me pause because, again, as Mike said, it's all hands on deck. Like we need to be at full strength on both sides of the ball. My key, man, is whether or not we can control the line. Basically, it's old football fodder, old football talk. Can we control the line of scrimmage? Yeah. In games where I've been nervous, what made me nervous against Tennessee is they start running the ball down our throats, and I got worried
Yeah.
because that was a
Wait,
bad. That go ahead.
no,
That
with the
was just a
comment
bad
that
sign to
somebody
me.
just put on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the underbelly being soft,
Yeah.
and honestly, that was going to be my biggest key to the game is interior defensive line and linebackers. Those are going to be the guys that are really going to dictate how this game goes for Auburn, because our interior defensive line was getting pushed around a lot against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Our interior defense, every game that we've struggled this year, Georgia, getting dominated on the defensive line. Early in the Kentucky game, getting dominated on the defensive line. And we're not even going to talk about how a pass rush didn't even seem to be a thing that existed at Auburn, absent of well-timed blitzes, which have been hit or miss for us this year, up until probably the LSU game. Like, I don't know that we had any legitimate sacks where it wasn't coverage sack type situations prior to LSU. I'd have to go back and look at the tape to really determine that. So can our interior defensive line, not the guys on the outside, I'm talking about the two guys that are going to be playing the middle, unless we're going to be playing that three-man front this game, which I do expect to see some. Can those guys generate something that resembles a pass rush and control the line of scrimmage so that they're not running wild with Najee Harris? That's a tall order to ask because Bama has run wild on everybody.
Yeah.
So that's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Mike.
I just think, like, again, I'm talking a lot about defense, but there's some games during the year I just assume that we're going to have to win a shootout. This is one of those games. I don't think the defense is kind of bend but don't break mantra that they've had.
Kevin Steele
over
has
the
been
last
that way
couple
the
of years
entire
under
time
Steele,
he's been.
right? Right. So my key to the game is score more points than Bama, period. Right? Like if nobody, it does not going, and all the stuff y'all talking about isn't going to matter if we have the same sort of offensive output we have versus Georgia. If that offense shows up, it doesn't matter what we do on defense. I don't even talk about anything else after the game. Right? Like if we lay a duck and a 6-point duck, right? There's nothing we're going to be able to do defensively that's going to win us this game. Right? So I'm just assuming that, again, we're going to have to win a shootout. They're going to give up some points, right? And hopefully they can turn the ball over a couple times, give Bo a short field, and then they can take advantage of it. Touchdowns, not field goals. And maybe we can have a chance in the fourth quarter. But, I get everybody's point about our D-line and our run defense. I just think that this team that we're up against offensively is so talented. You just need to expect to see us get exposed a little bit on defense and then maybe have some red zone stands, right? Maybe they stand up in the red zone and hold Bama to some field goals. And what we have to do is red zone D, right? Red zone D, right, is that they're going to move the ball. So, to me, it's kind of like when you were watching Jordan in the finals, right? You knew you were never going to stop him, but you wanted to contain him so that you could have a chance, and then you had to do something offensively. That's the kind of scenario Auburn is in today, right? So, slow them down once they get to the red zone. You just got to slow that Mack truck down, no pun intended, when they get to the red zone. Hold them to field goals, and then you need to score points, because I am encouraged by what Ole Miss was able to do against them offensively, right? If you look, I mean, their defense, they showed their throat a couple times on defense this year, right? So if we get the best game we've ever gotten from Bo Nix, a Nick Marshall type performance, a la like what 2015 or whatever,
14,
right? Like,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, we could be in this, right? But that's the only way I see this happening. Like, again, I'm just warning y'all now. The post game, if we score less than 14 points, I don't want to hear about anything that the defense did. Period. Right? Like, yeah, because what it's going to mean is that we were 3 and out, we weren't moving the ball, and we're just hanging our defense out to dry, right? To get scored on in bad situations, and that's been kind of a hallmark of Auburn's losses to better schools over the last few years.
Yep.
Is lack of offensive output. Last year we had a championship defense. We had a championship defense last year that could make plays and turn the ball over. And we lost the games we lost because we just couldn't score the points, man, against teams that were scorable on. right? So like, it's not like we went up against these defensive juggernauts and couldn't do anything. These teams could be scored on. I mean, think about it. Listen, LSU, best team I've ever seen in college football. We could have beat them with average offensive output the way our defense played last year. You know, I'm seeing the Trindle film. I just want to see us play competently offensively today, right? I'll even stomach the loss if we just don't look like trash on offense, right? Like that's my bar. Let's not look like trash on offense.
How many points would we need to put up for you to feel like at least we performed admirably? Is it
28 to 35 points?
28? Oh no, we're not getting
28 to 35 points. Yeah, listen, I know it's a tall order. Listen, I'm with you.
No, I'm not saying that that's not.
You know,
that's not the portion of it that's laughable. It's that like we have to put out. You said adequately, and that's like some of the best offensive performance that we've had all season. That's
against poor competition.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That's not adequate though. Like that's
right.
A really
that's what
high
I'm saying.
That's
what I'm saying.
Adequate.
So
I was thinking like 21. If we get
hold
on, B. You said you woke up feeling a little optimistic this morning. You painted a really bleak picture there, Mike.
Okay, if 20-35 is adequate, what's stellar?
I mean, obviously, like anything over 35 points, anything over 5 touchdowns would be a stellar day. But again, teams have done that against Bama. Teams that are not as good as us.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. So it's out there to be got.
Let me add this in. I was talking with. I may have said this on the pod, but I was talking with my cousin. He's a Bama fan, and I was telling him we trash talk back and forth weekly. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's bringing up they're so impressed with A&M. Oh, A&M, they're good. I said no, don't do that. They were impressed that A&M beat Florida, so they were then saying how they're so confident that they could beat Florida in the SEC championship game. And I said, pump the brakes. Everybody looked mediocre on some level or bad on some level in the first 3 weeks because of what they didn't get during the summer coming into the season. A&M beat Vanderbilt by 5 points. A&M is much better now on offense than that 17-12 win that they had over Vanderbilt. It is completely reasonable that Florida has improved, not just on defense, because they've been without Pitt, so they haven't even been blowing people out as much as I think they could have been, but they have improved offense and defensively since they lost to A&M. Alabama has improved on defense as far as what I can tell since they got a whole bunch of points put on them by Ole Miss. All of these preconceptions that we had about people, well, not preconceptions, what we feel about the teams and what everybody's identity is based on a few weeks that were really, really random, and we really shouldn't be using those first few weeks to tie anybody down to who they are right now. And what I mean by that is, yeah, there are some teams, i.e. Ole Miss, that put up points on Bama, but you think that game will go like that if they played again right now?
Right. Okay, so let me make this point. This is why I've been so hypercritical of everything that Bo does, right? Because it's not just about stat lines, right? So when you guys are coming in like, oh, Bo had a great game, I'm like, I'm picking that apart a little bit because, we're later in the season. The competition is not as fierce.
Point of clarity, I don't know that anybody has ever said Bo had a great game. He was player of the game once because he deserved it, but that no one has ever said Bo had a great game. He had a good game for Bo.
Y'all said he had a great game when he threw for like 300 yards. And y'all like, oh, he had a great game. He did what he was supposed to do. I was like, all right. Like, I mean, I get it. The stat line looked good.
It's not,
but like,
we can go review the tape. I don't know that anybody said he had.
Yeah. I need you to go look at that and then come back.
I'll do that.
But my point is, again, I'm hypercritical because of what Brian is talking about, right? Like, trying to make this in this particular season, trying to make these comparisons to figure out what we are is a little bit harder, right? And I'm like, okay, you completing passes. How are you completing passes, right? Some of the things that just are totally mental, right? Like the South Carolina. I mean, listen, the South Carolina. I mean, that's probably one of the more frustrating Auburn losses that I've had the misfortune of watching in the last 10 years. because of the poorness of the situational awareness at the end of the game pointed to complete and utter institutional dysfunction, right? Your quarterback not understanding the situational football at the end of the game, where again it's 4th and 5, you can get a first down, but there's only like 9 seconds left on the clock. So if you're going to make a throw, you got to make a quick throw, get it beyond the sticks or get it in the end zone. Your quarterback runs the clock out and then tries to run in the end zone from like 15 yards out and gets tackled and the game is over. And I'm like, where was the coaching? Where is the like, hey, listen, Bo, like, it's got to be either a quick release, but if you run around for more than 4 seconds, you have to throw it in the end zone or the game's over. That was it. Those are the only 2 things.
That
and
during
not
this game, like I'm trying to understand how that ties into the Bama game.
Well, I'm just saying, when we're trying to make determination on what this team is, right? I'm just looking at those things and I'm thinking, you know what? If we're going to win this game, let's be honest, we have only won this game tight and crazy over the last 10 years. There have been no real like dominant AU wins in the series, right? When we win it, it's ESPN Game of the Year material, right? And I'm just wondering where that moment comes from if we're to have a chance, because I don't think anybody's accusing Auburn of winning this by more than a touchdown, if at all, right? So, again, the optimist in me, because we spent a lot of time talking about why we're going to lose this game, right? But in the scenarios that I imagined us winning, we have to be significantly better at some of the things that we failed at earlier this season. And to me, that's not about ability. What happened in South Carolina wasn't about ability. It was all just coaching. It was all mental. Something that your second-year quarterback who started every game as a freshman should know. And then your coach, who's been your coach for like, how long we've been stuck with Gus now? 8 years? It's been 10 years now, like 8 years, right? Like, I mean, I just expect, for an offensive guru, that those are not the kind of like boneheaded mistakes that we're making at the end of the game. That's all I'm saying, right? So if we're gonna have a chance, we just need to see something better, in terms of situational awareness, because Bama's gonna force us into some situations where they're going to have to adapt and adjust and improvise, right?
So
and
you're
when that
saying
happens,
what you're
what does our
saying is
quarterback
that
do?
if we do those things, we should score 35 points.
No,
Again, you
that's
said
not what I'm saying.
no because
That's not what I'm saying.
you're
No,
confusing
no,
me
no,
with your
no,
point
no.
here because you're
No, that's not
you're
what I'm saying.
talking about.
What I'm saying, right. I'm saying if we're in the game, if we're doing all the other things correctly, right, and we're in the game, right, that's what it's going to come down to, right? Like, I don't know how we get to 35 points in this one. I mean, listen, if we get to 35 points, it'll be because our defense turns Bama over, on their side of the field, and we get to our field to work with, or we score a
I'll go out
couple
on a limb
times
and
on
say
defense.
this: if we score 35 points, we probably win in this game.
Yeah, I can say if we can score easily enough to get to 35, then that means our defense shouldn't be completely gassed. And
Right.
Assuming that our defense isn't getting gutted.
I just don't know a
Right.
scenario where there's a track meet in this. Like, it's either going to be a blowout or we're going to win closely, and we're going to have to hold their offense. I just don't foresee us getting to 35 and losing.
We need a bad game from Bama.
Right.
Really.
Right.
We need a bad, like, we need them to
I
be
do. I
uncharacteristically off.
and I don't think it's gonna happen.
I can see us getting to 35 and losing. I can see us definitely losing this game, 35 to 48 or something like that, right? Like, I can see us, because if we give up their offensive averages, 35 won't win it, right? So, like, your scenario assumes that we have to play a better game. Okay, fair enough. But your scenario assumes that we have to play a better game on defense than we played all year, holding this team to well below their season averages, right? And I'm not sure how, like, so much of that will be dependent on ball control on our side, right? Like, because the best way to hold them to points is to keep them off the field.
Correct.
Right. And so I'm tying our defense's fate to our offenses in this one. That's what I'm saying. Because the other team the other team is supremely talented on offense. Right. And so I think it's just too tall a task for this defense. Like, if we were talking about last year's defense, I would expect them to go out there, get pick sixes, shut down, sack Mac Jones, do all this stuff. This year, after 7, 8 games of what we've seen, I'm just like, okay, like they can do some good things, but I don't expect them to be able to carry us the way previous Auburn defenses has. We just
Yeah.
need to go out there and score points, and we need
Yeah,
to
my
score
my
more
my
points, and
my
we need to help
my,
them out.
my assumption here is not necessarily the defense carrying us. It is the exact thing that you said, which is ball control. I think that has to be the recipe for winning the game: is choke the clock out and give them less at bats, and then hope your defense forces field goals rather than giving up touchdowns. That's what I feel like is going to be necessary for us to win
Let
this
me
game.
ask a question. Let me pose a question. What is the offense? Because we talk about this every week, and we covered it Wednesday. But I just want to see if anybody's feelings have changed. How many times do we want to see Bo Nix throw the ball today for us to get, let's assume that we're going to make it to that magical number of 35, right? What does that offensive game plan look like? And how much of it is Bo Nix slinging it all over the field with his arm?
No more than
It's
30 times.
no, I say it's like 40. It's like 40. It's what you said, Mike. If would have a chance of winning this game, we would have to put up mid 30s to low 40s in points. And what that means is that Bo would
Right.
have to throw the ball because we're not going to. They have enough. They might not be the best Bama defense of the last 10 years, but they still have enough raw talent. They still get prepared very well. You don't think they looked on tape and be like, "Look, we stopped that guy. We got it." We all know we talk about for the last 5 weeks how much the run game has allowed Bo to be competent because he doesn't have to do everything. It allows the game to come to him. We know that they're going to be like, look, let's just bottle up the run, let's overcommit, and then make him make some throws. And that's exactly what any of us would do if we were playing against or coaching against Bo Nix. They're going to do that. Bo Nix then has to be good enough. And I do think the quarterback's coach now, what's his name? Why did I forget that quick? The OC Morris. Thank you.
Right.
You're
Morris
welcome.
has called much better. I don't want to say he's called better games. I can see the Morris imprint on the offense more than I could against Kentucky and Georgia. I see a different array of routes. I see some middle of the field more. We're hitting middle of the field more passes than we did in the early season because Gustin wasn't really a middle of the field guy as far as his offense and how he
Right.
designed the plays. So I'm seeing more Chad Morris. Chad Morris's offense is not super run heavy, but he does keep you on schedule. He allows you to drive the ball down the field without just running it down somebody's throat. When Clemson and Deshaun were at their best, it's not that they had 60-yard bombs. You think about their battles with Bama or Louisville or whoever when they had big games, they would 7, 8, 9 yards you down the field to death, and they would drive on you. It just wasn't primarily run game. We can do that. Can Bo Nix, Morris can play in that type of game. We don't have the talent on offense that Clemson has had because they've had all-world wide receivers for like the last decade. And we don't have that, but we have very competent talent. Can the route tree be diverse enough? Can the skill players be dependable enough? And can Bo Nix, once they pile up on the run, can Bo Nix hit the plays that are designed for him to hit to keep us on schedule, keep us on the field, and keep the defense getting some rest because they've got the biggest task of the day? I don't think he can do that. Not consistently enough.
Right.
But is
Okay.
it possible?
Right. Right.
Yes, it's possible.
B. I woke up. I woke up, and I had a bad dream. Right. And in my dream, you were in the hospital, bro. Like you were in the
So
hospital,
now,
bro. And
From a heart.
they called and they were like, "Brian's in the hospital. You got to come home." And so I rushed back to Alabama, and I go to the hospital, and I said, "What happened, guys?" They're like, "B wants to talk to you before he goes." And I said, "Brian, what's going on, bro? Like, what happened?" And you looked me in the eye with so much conviction, and you said, "We somehow won the Iron Bowl, and they extended Gus Malzahn's contract." And then you gave up the ghost. And
That would damn do
it was
damn
like
do it right
on your deathbed. It was like your worst nightmare, and I didn't know what to say to you in that moment that would comfort you, right? Like I really didn't. I was like, and so on your way out, I just said, at least Jimbo Fisher is still trash, and then you pass in peace, right? Like so. I mean,
Oh God.
I just don't think that I'm scared for this game. I'm scared for the outcome of a lot of this stuff today, fellas, because I'm still not a believer in the system. That they're doing, and I think that they can prove a lot today to us as fans, as loyal fans, not necessarily by winning, but just showing competency offensively today. Right? Like, I mean, that's where my bar is at. Like, I mean, I will totally take a moral victory this year if they can go out and Bo can just have a solid game. Listen, if Bama forces him into a couple turnovers, as long as they're not unforced errors, like, if he throws a good pass and the DB makes a great play on the ball and it gets tipped up and, some kind of crazy or knocked down at the line or something like that, and, I can accept that, but if we see head case Bo from South Carolina, I might turn the game off at halftime, right? Like, I might even be able to be on the halftime show because I don't know if I'm gonna watch anymore, right? Like, I don't want to see head case Bo, right? I just want to see him be a game manager today. Do not get one of the best receivers in our league involved in this game. Seth Williams has to make his mark on this game for us to have a chance, right? You don't get the 35 without Seth getting 80 to 120 yards receiving in this one, right?
So that's a good segue then into to players that we want to see. So I'll let you continue your point. I want to talk about players that we expect to have an impact on this game. So
right. Seth Williams, Anthony Schwartz, right? Now you guys know I'm high on Schwartz every week, right? Like, I am high on Schwartz every week. I just think, when you have that guy who can take the top off of defense, right? Because it's not really Seth can get downfield and catch jump balls, but Schwartz is the guy that will sneak behind, and he's going to get his chances today. Mark my words. He's going to get his chances today flying behind that Bama secondary. And if Bo can hit him on one or two of those passes, they don't have to go for scores, right? It will help keep the defense honest, right? And it will change their game plan, because I believe very strongly that what we're going to see is Bama come out with a plan that just says stop the run and put the pressure on Bo to beat us. If you watch us offensively this year, that is your best route to winning this game as of now. And if he has a great game and beat you, so be it. I think Saban would accept that, right? This guy comes out and plays his best game of the year, but there's nothing on tape that suggests that he's going to be the one to beat you, right? Even in the games where he's played better, his production has just been more attributed to a better run game, right, and better offensive line play. It hasn't necessarily been about him improving as a passer. He's getting more time, and then the run game is taking the pressure off of him.
Well,
right.
Wait now.
With Tank out with
the same throws that he used to miss, he is now hitting. The short passes and intermediate.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I don't want to get into that.
Misplacing the passes, he is now placing them properly. That's not just because of a run game. The throw that he missed, that whether it was wide open or slightly contested, he is better at those throws. That's progress. That's credit.
Okay, well, my point is the run game has taken a lot of pressure off him. That's where I'm going with this, right? So like, and the absence of that today, possibly with Tank being sidelined, right? I still am holding out hope that DJ Williams and Sean Shivers, right, and the other kid can get it done today.
Mark Anthony, man, I don't.
Right. You ain't seeing him today.
Like,
he might be in Aruba.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, listen, if they get it done by committee today, right, and maybe we see a limited Tank today. Maybe Tank is just a situational back today, right? Like, and he could come in and just get a couple runs, pick up a couple first downs or something. But like, if they can do that today, Bo stands a better chance of having the type of game that we need him to have, right? So, but you can't do that unless so in a sense, Bo is again my key player, because Schwartz and Williams can't have a great game without him, right? Like, I just think that our passing game is my key, right? Keep them off balance, right? Back them up some, make some room for this this run game and this O line to help them out, right? And let's see some short passes. Let's see them kind of move the ball down the field methodically. It's Gus Malzahn's offense for a long time has been all or nothing, right? Like 3 yards or bomb and touchdown, right? Like it just seems when we get inside the 20, we don't have plays, right? Like we bomb our way down the field and then stall, bomb and stall, right? So I would like to see them put together some methodical drives, right? Question posed before we move on. What do you guys want to see? We win the toss. Do we take the ball or do we defer?
I defer. I am always a fan of getting the ball first coming out of the half. So I would like to see them defer.
Caesar said something interesting Wednesday. Caesar said something interesting Wednesday. I mean, he was like, I don't know if I want to put this Mac Jones, I want to put this offense on the field first, right?
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm thinking.
You got to have a different attitude in this game because you don't want them to set the tone. You want to set the tone.
Yeah,
for
but
the game.
I think our tone setting is not going to come from a quick score early on the offense because I think our tone setting is going to have to come with the defense looking competent early. If your defense, here's what I don't want to see, or what I would fear if we get the ball first, is we're going to go down the field and we're going to score early, and it's going to give us this, oh man, we came to play today, and then that's the last score we're going to have the entire game.
Yeah,
I disagree.
That's highly likely.
The way I would like that to go is I would like to get the ball first because I don't want to be down 7-0 with 14:07 left on the clock in the first quarter. That's bad news, man. I mean, defense, y'all starting off bad. We need y'all more. Y'all have a harder task this game than anybody. So what I would like to happen is and we see some composure. We see all those little things that we know Bo Nix needs to be good at doing, even if it doesn't result in a touchdown. Can you drive us down to the 20? Can you drive us down to the 15? Let it take 8-9 plays, convert 2 or 3 third downs. That's encouraging because if he's making the decisions where we can convert on third, that means Gus and Chad, y'all schemed this up. Y'all knew what to expect and y'all had an answer for what they were going to do. You got us down there. Good. I think that gives the offense confidence. That gives those offensive linemen that are in there confidence. That gives Bo Nix confidence and helps him settle in because what we've seen is that whether it happened way too late in the game or whether it happened after the run game had already kind of set the tone, once Bo settles in, he can play his best. He can be competent. It's in him somewhere, but it's the coach's job to kind of create the circumstances where he can be that guy for an entire game. The offense being controlled and steady and moving and getting what we need to convert and get all the way down the field, yeah, we'd love it for it to be a touchdown. But even if that's just a field goal, that is progress. Right. We've held them off and they don't get the ball until, 8:25 in the first. You know what? Defense, we just shortened the game for y'all. Y'all not even playing a 60-minute game. Now you're playing what is that? 7.5 minutes off the clock. You're playing a 53-minute game. Go.
That's what we got to do today. That's what we have to do today. I believe that. Listen, I don't think I've ever agreed with anything you said more than what you just said right there. Right? Like, that's what we have to do today. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if we're sitting here talking about how well the defense played after this game is over, give Kevin Steele, he should be the highest paid D coordinator in the nation. If we are sitting here in post game talking about how well, right? Like, no. I mean, I think that's how tall the task he has today.
I would like to.
I think that's how tall the task he has today defensively.
Sure.
Right. So, in the after, but I really believe for it to be an Auburn victory, we need to be talking about historic offensive output, either in terms of ball control or just all out blitzkrieg points scored. Right. So, my initial thought is if Auburn wins, this is going to be one of those pretty close to one of these highest scoring Iron Bowls ever. Right. I just don't see where we'll be able to do all the things that we're going to need to be able to do offensively, in B scenario to help the defense out. We just haven't seen that against better teams yet. Right. So, to see it today would be to see something that we have not seen all season. Right. I mean, and we still have some of those teams left. Right. I mean, we still got Texas A&M left on the schedule. Right. Like, I mean, I know how much B hates them, but, I think we all have come to the consensus that they're a little better than we gave them credit for. Well, you hate Jimbo Fisher, I get it,
Thank you.
and Kellen Mond is mid, right? But like,
They're not better.
but I what?
Yeah, I'm still like I have not changed my mind about Texas A&M at all. So whatever.
Okay,
Anyway,
all
let's
right,
move on
all
with
right,
our
fair
keys for
enough.
this game because
All
I don't
right,
want to
all
take
right.
them until next
I
week.
will say to me the key player is I talked about the us playing well in the trenches, O line playing well despite injuries, D line standing up and not being pushed around. But at the end of the day, we always avoid this guy because of how we felt about him early and throughout the year. But it's going to come down to Bo Nix. It really is because again, what Bama likes to do is they like to make teams one dimensional or take away what you do well. Auburn runs the ball better than it throws it. Okay, despite its weapons on offense, we run
Facts,
the ball
facts.
better than we throw it. So if I'm Bama, I'm going to make Auburn throw it because last year and this year, when Bo Nix throws almost 40 times, as B mentioned, that has been a terrible recipe for Auburn. So what you want to do is come out balanced because when we've been balanced, we've kept defenses honest and we've kept defenses on edge. They don't know what to expect from us. And if you got, and Bama's going to make Bo throw the ball, which means he has to, when those opportunities present themselves, he has to be on point and sharp, make good decisions, be accurate, and he doesn't have to play hero ball. Just take what the defense gives you, and Bama has to begin respecting what you're doing through the air, which will then, in reverse, open up opportunities for Shivers and Williams. Bo is the key to it all, guys, and so we're going to see just how much he's improved. B, or was it fool's goal against weaker competition?
It
We will
was.
definitely
I
find that
still
out
think
today.
it was fool's goal.
Okay.
I do. I do not disagree with you. However, I believe as we've seen when we see upsets every year in normal college football years, there is somebody who's going to play outside of themselves and do something to upset a team that is much better than them. It happens all the time. Sometimes it is the better team having an off game, but you can get people to play outside of them. We watched it happen here when Tuberville was the coach. We had no business beating about three teams. The Florida game at Florida, the Florida
That's
game
one.
at home. Um, every time we played Bama when he was here, we were better than them. They were bad then. It didn't matter. We
Right.
played a LSU team once
It
or
was an
twice,
LSU one team week.
and it was you can do it. It is possible to motivate a team to give them the tools to play outside of themselves or at their peak for an entire game. It is not likely, but it is possible. For this quarterback that we have, Bo Nix, to do that, I don't think we get that game from him because he is not at home. And as much as I don't think it's completely the home and away, I think that's part of it. I don't know who wouldn't be more comfortable on their home field with their fans in the stands. So I think that is a very big factor. Well, to determine if he can be the perfect quarterback for one game or make those mistakes that make him a mediocre quarterback, I think he's more prone to the make those mistakes side just because he's not at home. I think they can plan it up. I think they
Right.
can practice him to perfection. I'm sure they have a very capable game plan. Do I believe that? Yes,
Sure.
I do. Between Gus and Chad and Kevin Steele, do I think we have the coaching and the game plan to win this game? Yes. I don't think we have the execution because we've shown that our
Really?
players, outside of just Bo Nix, do not execute consistently. And that's a place where Alabama is usually always head and shoulders above everybody else. They play to their standard, to their
Yeah,
best,
but
much more consistently.
the non-execution is a coaching issue, though. Yeah, the non-execution is a coaching issue too. And to your point about those Tuberville teams, to your point about those Tuberville teams that always came back and beat teams that we weren't supposed to, like top to bottom, that staff was much better at developing talent than this staff is. Hands down, it's not even close.
I don't disagree with
Right?
that.
They were turning 2 stars into NFL draft picks.
Right.
Right. So we're busting out 5 stars. Right. So like that wasn't really happening under the Tuberville system. Guys who came in 4 stars went on to have NFL careers and then some. Right. Like so, I'm not completely with you on whether we have the game plan to win this one or not. Right. Like, I mean, I think you could say of any game plan, if you execute, it's the right game plan, right? Like, so yeah, I mean,
I don't
yeah,
know. I don't think that's
I think anybody would tell you, any coach would tell you, right, that they feel like if things go out and work out the way that it assumes a lot. It assumes that the other team hasn't properly planned for what you're going to do. And I just think that Bama, of all the teams we have played this year, right, with as much tape as they're getting on us going into this game, will have a competent defensive game plan. Now, whether or not they can execute is also a question, because they have been susceptible this year at times, right? But they also have the distinct advantage of having had time to get better. And, like, again, this game is at home. There's just a lot of things in their favor, right? So, like, I just want everybody to hear where we're at right now, right? It's
We're
Iron Bowl
at
time,
where screw
and
Bama, and I don't care nothing about none of that bull. All I
we're
want to know
talking.
is are Truesdale and show up and disrupt whatever kind of game plan they have and put Mac Jones on his back consistently, because that's what I want to see.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
We need
okay.
some
Yep.
dog play in the middle, man. We need some dogs in the middle. But Mike,
Listen,
you are
I'm
not gonna
gonna buy
tell
you some
me
hope for Christmas.
you are not gonna tell me
Listen,
that Anthony
game
Schwartz
still got to be
running
played.
3 to 40 yards ahead of his guy down the field, and the fact that Bo overthrows him is somehow the coach's fault. Is that what you're telling me? You're telling me execution not being executed properly, that's always on the coach. If you scheme it up and they bite on this, or they think you about to fake the screen, and you get somebody wide open, whether it's short, middle, or long, and the quarterback doesn't hit it, that's on the coaches.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I'm not saying that at all. But according to you, he's getting better at throwing those passes, right? So those opportunities
He
should be
has
there,
been
right?
getting
So,
better,
like,
yes.
I'm just saying, yeah. So, like, I'm just saying, if we see all that today, if he builds on that improvement, then I think we have a more than reasonable shot at this game if his offensive production from the last 2 or 3 games holds, right? I'm just not sure if that's fool's gold or not based on who we played, right? And so, again, going back to the comment that somebody made earlier about, early in the season, and I'm just not sure that anybody for sure outside of the coaches coaching the players can say they know what team is gonna show up, and maybe not even them, based on everything we've seen this season, right? I'm not I'm not discouraged by what we see the last 3 weeks, but I'm not overly encouraged by it either. I'm just kind of like, all right, well, we just need to see if it's real up against somebody real, and that's the great mystery of the day to me. To me, that's the mystery of the day.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've seen the inconsistency this season. We're gonna have to see what team shows up on the field, specifically what quarterback shows up. A lot of that, again, for me, my enthusiasm about our chances here are dampened by the offensive line not being 100. If the offensive line were here, I would definitely give us a puncher's chance. Without that, I don't know what we have on the offensive line, so I don't know what our level of ability to execute a game plan is going to be. The guys who have not played that much this season, or if they have played this season, there's a reason why they were behind the other guys that were on the field, right? And so we'll see. We've got a couple of hours to sit around and stew over this, but we'll find out what the guys came out ready to do. Um, you know, I have to concur right here with this comment right here. War Eagle, forget all them dudes. I don't care nothing about them. Today I don't love them. I ain't got no love for Bama. Forget Mac Jones and his Heisman hype. Forget Najee
And
Harris.
tomorrow.
Forget I'm saying
The day after that.
I can give them props on any other day. Today I'm not giving them no props. I'm sorry, I don't know what you want to hear from me other than screw them. I just don't have nothing else for you.
Can we do final score predictions?
Huh?
Can we do final score
predictions?
Yeah,
man, I was hoping we were gonna avoid this.
Everybody out there, yeah.
Let's talk about final score predictions. Who want to go first? I'm gonna contradict everything I said Wednesday when I get this score. I'm contradicting everything I said Wednesday when I get this score. I don't care. Let's go. Who want to go first?
I got it. Okay.
Go ahead.
Final score. Bama 45.
The spread is 24.5 points.
Yeah.
Bama 45, Auburn 24.
All right.
So you think Bama covers?
No, that we will cover. That's only 21 points. 45 to 24.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Because the spread is 24.5. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we just barely covered this one.
Yes.
All right. Cool.
Come on, Mike. Come on. You're stalling.
No, I'm punting. I'm punting the Caesar.
No, you're talking. Go ahead.
Fuck, man.
38-20 Bama.
Oh, that's so
38-20.
nice. That's so nice. We're gonna hold them under 40. That's very generous.
I think Mac Jones catches COVID at halftime and it slows their offensive production. And it's going to be 38-20.
Gets a positive Rona test at halftime.
But he's going to be okay. You know what I mean?
He had dinner with Nick Saban last night.
Yeah. Nick Saban met him in the tunnel and was like, "You can do it, son."
Yeah,
Go ahead.
All right. Auburn fans are going to hate me for this one. I say 45-17 Bama.
Are you worse than me? You got that's right. You hate
38-34 Auburn. Screw them. I don't care. Book it. 38-34.
We got to have somebody who does that. So I'm glad you did it, right? Yeah, I know you don't.
Listen, I'm rooting for Ike. Like, I want him to be right. Like,
I want you to come through for us. Come through, right?
Yeah.
I'm rooting for you, Ike. I'm rooting for you, Ike. I want you to come in and gloat about this because that means that's a good thing.
Yeah.
38-34.
We are completely destroying. I hope we're completely destroying every argument we made in lead up to this game, right? Like, listen, I hope we're wrong.
Until they beat us, I don't care.
I still got some Thanksgiving sides, so if I got to go out and find crow to eat later, I'm straight.
I would love it.
Straight.
Wait. If Gus Malzahn,
you live in Alabama, you should be able to find some crow in the yard.
I would have nothing negative to say about Gus Malzahn for the remainder of his tenure. Even if he continued to be as mediocre as he has been up to this point, he would earn. He would.
I'm not going that far.
The reprieve for me.
No, let's not do this. If Bo Nix comes out and ball, all four of us has to wear a Bo Nix jersey for every show for the remainder of the year.
Hell no.
I will actually take that bet. What is
if Bo Nix comes out and ball?
Mike
especially, we got to rock Bo Nix jerseys in every show we do for the remainder.
Of the season. Now we got to give criteria around Bo Nix balling though.
Yeah. What's balling though?
No interceptions.
No interceptions.
I'm taking that bet.
At least 3 touchdowns.
I'm taking
at least 3 touchdowns.
3 passing touchdowns.
Yes.
Okay, 3 passing touchdowns.
You ain't gonna give them no quarterback sneak.
No interceptions. No lost fumbles.
Okay. And at least what 300 yards passing?
At least.
I'm taking that bet.
Yeah, we need a yardage.
At least 300.
3 TDs. Okay. 300. No turnovers.
I'm taking that.
No turnovers.
I will buy a Bo Nix jersey tonight.
I'll do it. I will do it.
I will buy it tonight.
I'll do it.
Let's do it. I'll do it. Let's do it.
Mike is not going to be able to do this.
That's why I did it. I did it for you, Mike.
This
is for you, bro. This is for you. Come on, Mike.
I don't know if I'll wear it every game, but I'll at least have it back here, But it will be prominently displayed every single episode of
That's
the
fine.
Tour.
That's fine.
Year.
That's fine.
Might be taking my religious beliefs would allow me to. My belief system is not set up to be able to take this bet with any any integrity, because I can't say that I wouldn't. I can't say I wouldn't put it on and be like, I got to take this off, right? I'll take the bet. I'll take the bet, right? So, but all conditions have to be true, though. I'm buying a Bo Nix jersey. All those conditions have to be true. 3 passing touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
300 yards.
What is an acceptable margin of error?
No turnovers.
I mean, he can look shaky.
Okay,
I'll give
okay.
him-
Let me ask
I'll
you this.
give-
Let me ask you
He
this
can
about the
print
turnover.
a sack or two.
Let's say
you
he
know?
throws a pick, but it was tipped at the line or someone tipped it. Like it wasn't because Bo made a bad decision.
Well, listen, throwing
Is
behind
that
the wide
are we
receiver,
willing to excuse that if that
Throwing
Bama just
behind.
makes a play?
throwing behind the wide receiver is an error. So even if his player touches it,
If he
first,
misses the
that's on Bo.
target, that's the
All right.
the bet. Like we don't have to wear. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying if Bama just makes a play on the ball, an amazing
end
play
up
on the
being
ball,
suspended.
are we willing to excuse that?
Yeah.
We'll have to decide after the game.
So
if it
me
is
to me,
borderline
I'm saying a
call.
pick is what he did
Right.
at South Carolina.
Yeah, we'll have to come to a consensus after the game because that could
Okay,
be completely
fine.
subjective based on how you see how the play
Okay.
went down, right? Like,
Fair enough.
You
Right.
giving a mic, you give a mic and out. He's
Give
like,
him out,
nah,
yeah,
man, because
he
you
gonna
know
take
the
it
ball slipping out of his hand. He should have gripped it better. Like, yeah, like, it's gonna be one of them situations.
that's right, damn it.
Like he's gonna end up throwing no picks, but he'll like fumble or something, and Mike will be like, "But it's a turnover." Like it's gonna be something. So
Yeah, well, we'll
Yeah,
see.
no, no
We'll
fumbles
see.
included,
I
but
mean,
no
I just
turnovers though.
he didn't say no turnovers. He said no. He said no picks.
No, we were saying that was my condition that I threw in there.
Oh, I
No
didn't hear you say that. My
turnovers.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
So,
turnovers.
yeah.
But I
no
was saying
turnovers.
he does
No
turn it
turnovers.
over. Again, there are picks that it's not really the fault of the QB. It's just that the defense made an amazing play.
Right.
It was a good read and everything. The defense just made a play.
Yeah, I'm willing to. Yeah, I'm willing to by committee if you all three agree that it was the defense made a good play, regardless of how I feel, we'll go with that and we'll dismiss that
Okay.
turnover.
Okay.
All
I
three
just
of you
wanna
have to
caution
agree.
you all.
We're not going
With
to
integrity.
We're trusting the integrity of Mike to say Bo Nix balled out, even though in a game where he threw for 300, almost ran for another 100, and had 3 touchdowns, he said he didn't have a good game, or he wasn't
I
worthy.
didn't say
of
he
player
didn't
of
have
the
a good
excuse
game.
me.
No, that's a
said he
lie. That's
wasn't
cap.
great.
That's a cap.
No,
said he
I
wasn't
corrected
great.
myself.
Yeah,
I said
that's
you
a
said
cap.
he wasn't worthy of player of the game.
Okay, but we just set the parameters beforehand. So I'm just telling you,
Okay.
you're not gonna hear that from me if all those
All
parameters are true. You know, in this game against this team, right? That will be more worthy of player of the game than when he did it against the competition that he did it against, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't disagree with
I
that.
mean, it would
100%.
be
If
probably
he can
the best game of
reproduce
his
his
career.
output, yeah, that means he's reproducing what he did against LSU, basically.
Right? Yeah, yeah. It would be the best game of his career by a long shot,
would
right?
be.
So I
It would
would definitely give him credit. I'll wear the jersey.
We are
Right,
banking
you know,
on him playing
I'll even put a
the
little
best
heart
game of his
emoji.
career. That's what this bet is.
All right, we'll
Yeah,
see what
I'm telling
happens,
you.
man.
That's what we
got
want
a
If he
to
couple
does
more
that,
to
Bo
get
Nix
through.
will be 2-0 against Bama. That would be crazy. For a guy we've given hell, he will be
No,
2-0 against Bama.
Listen, he's a legacy kid. He grew up in the state. His dad is an Auburn quarterback. He wants this more than anybody on this
He
team.
probably really does. Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
actually probably bodes in the wrong direction for his emotional state. But we'll
It
see.
does.
This is going to be
It
his
does.
first time playing in Bryant Denny.
You saw what happened in Florida with
not
all
a good
that
thing.
Pat Nix hype.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you know, him going out here and playing hero ball is not the way for us to win. That's why I don't think that's a good thing.
Of course
right?
not. Of course not.
They need to keep him within the game plan today, right? That's what I want to see. I want to see Bo Nix contained within the game plan, not running around trying to be Superman on the field. If he does that, this game is over by halftime, and we're having a
Yeah.
very depressing halftime talk,
If I see somebody
right? Like that's where I'm at with it.
it's gonna be a sad.
Yeah.
day.
If
No
it's
thanks.
that, I
thanks.
think we should all
Don't
bring our
wanna see it.
favorite books to the halftime show, and we should talk about our favorite books that we're reading. Have a mini book club, and not even talk about the game anymore.
Hey, listen, if that score is back, listen.
Have y'all
if
read
it-
Three
if-
Little Women?
if we are down
Page turner.
by 3 TDs or more, I'm definitely bringing a book to halftime. Believe that.
Oh man.
All right, y'all. Let's get out of here. It's been a great show. We will see what happens in the game. We are the War Report on Instagram, Twitter. I didn't skip over to YouTube. Click like and subscribe on the YouTube. I hit the button but didn't talk about it. Make sure you're hitting the notification bell because you do want to be back here at halftime and the post game to see our reactions for this game. If you don't watch any others,
Absolutely.
unfiltered and candid for sure. The War Report on Twitter and Instagram. We'll be live tweeting during the game, and TW Report on TikTok. Don't expect any random TikToks during the game. Just letting you know for the future. We are out of here. We will see you back here at halftime. Hopefully, still having some semblance of hope for what we can do for the remainder. Hey, man, keep the hope alive. Until then, War Eagle.